today. And as we were focusing a lot on ways to balance high school life, and it's time for a slight change. Do you ever wonder if university life is similar to what you see on the screens? And does university life differs in which country you're living in? Today we welcome Sarah to our podcast to share some stories and her own experiences. And Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself to all our listeners?
Yeah, so hi Ngọc and hi everyone who is listening. My name is Sarah, she introduced, but also people also call me Tao. I'm currently a university student in the Netherlands. And yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
Okay, so as our podcast title is The Cookie Talk, we bring cookies to every episode. And today we have the two flavors, which are walnut cookies and coconut cookies. So Sarah, would you like to try some?
I'll have the one.
So also, quick note, Sarah is also a really great chef and baker. So we hope that the cookies can satisfy her.
Oh well, that's a big statement, but yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, it's really buttery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really buttery. Hey, you can have some if you want.
We'll have some during the episode. Okay, so let's begin the episode. So firstly, I think it's really important to understand the context. So could you share where you're currently studying at, which major, and also which university?
Yeah. So as I said, I'm a university student in the Netherlands. I am currently enrolled in the University of Applied Sciences called NHL Stenden, located in a city called Leeuwarden. That is, honestly, when everybody asks where I'm going, I just said the Netherlands. Their first idea would be like, oh, you go to Amsterdam. No, I live 2 hours away from Amsterdam, by the sea, in a really suburban city that there's no one else except for university students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there I'm currently majoring in tourism management with a minor in heritage experience management.
Yeah. So personally, for me, I'm really excited to go to a university. Well, not really excited for the university application process. I'm excited to go to university, and I think many high school students also think the same. So, how different is the high school life compared to university life for you?
I would say personal experience, and because it differs per individuals. So for my case, it was extremely different, and it really on every aspect. I would say, before going to leave the house, I didn't really expect that I would be going through that much of a change because first of all, I grew up in a quite international environment, and then as a kid, I was also raised in a really independent way. That I didn't expect for myself to, went through all of that mental process of going to university. But the first thing that I immediately noticed the difference is me living with and without my parents. When you're living with your parents, you kind of have this routine with your family, that you have family meals together, and then your parents telling you, oh, you can do this, you can do this chores, yada yada yada, stuff like that. But once you live on your own, there's no one to tell you to do anything, and then everything's every decision that you make is gonna immediately inflict on you. So it's impacts you immediately, and you're like, huh? Usually at home you do stuff for your parents or for someone else, or you go to school and then you produce grades and stuff like that. But now you can choose to study if you want or not. You can cook if you want or not, and then that's when I'm like, oh, it's not really oh, I'm adulting. It's more oh my god, I don't have my parents. That's what I learned. I was like, oh my god, I don't have my parents. I don't have someone else to tell me what to do. But another thing that personally it took a really big toll on me is that I'm so used to having meals with my family, and that feeling of having, even though we don't talk during the meal, I was just still having somebody to have a meal with, and it's a really different feeling when you eat on your own. And once you're on your own, you kind of want to fast forward the cooking and the eating process. So you're like, okay, why would I take 30 minutes to an hour to cook when I'm only going to eat for 15 minutes? So that's like you neglecting yourself is quite a big change when you live within the dynamics. Another thing I would say is on socializing. That was a really big difference as well when I moved to the Netherlands. Also, if you have any questions, just jump in. But when I moved, like when I was here, or if you think about it, for most people from kindergarten to high school, like up until the end of high school, your life is basically from home to school. So like you're right? Like you don't have that much of an environment, like other environments. So your friends are just gonna be either your neighborhood friends or your school friends. So you don't have that mindset of having to actively put yourself out there to make friends. But when you move out to university, in my case, I was thrown into this campus of like thousands of people, and they have their own life already. Like some of them still live with their parents, and a lot of them are Dutch, by the way. So they still have friends around that who are Dutch, and they would prefer hanging out with those friends. And now I'm like this international kid, not knowing what to do, and it's not like I have language barrier. Like it's not like that. It's just the social, the mannerism, the culture, and sadly to say, it's also being an Asian kid in a very white country. That it's kind of make you differ, like set you aside from other people, and they would not think that you would be the first choice to be friends with. And so different kind of socializing. Like I had to actively put myself out there and make small talks, and like if I see anybody, I would just have to approach them on my own and then introduce myself and talk. And it takes a lot of energy, and also I would say for myself, it took a lot of confidence to put yourself out there and to talk to a lot of people, because before that, I was never the one to do that, to take it to shape. Yeah, no, I was not used to that. Like, my mindset before that, I was like, why would I have to talk to that person? If they're not approaching me, doesn't that mean that they don't want to talk to me? Yeah. Why would I have to approach them? That was my mindset. Like, it was toxic. And the first thing that most people notice when they go to university is how socialized and how open you have to be able to make friends. And not like even like make best friends, just like social. Just straight out.
You have to like put yourself out.
Yeah, you really have to step out there. And I can't like, oh my god, I'm trying to find those words that really can describe that experience the first time. You walk into that lecture, imagine now you go to high school or younger than that, like you walk into a class, 30 people max, right? But then now you go into a lecture hall, there are hundreds of people, and then there's like that one professor that stands there, and then everybody just sits around it, and then you all sit like horizontally to each other, and it's so weird when you start like, oh, hi, my name is, and I'm like, huh? Why am I trying to make friends this way? It's so awkward. Everything puts that first year and first day into a really awkward situation. But I think it partly is also like my overthinking brain that was really thinking all of like the worst thing that can happen. But yeah, so socializing was one thing.
Now that I think about it, because like as an international student going into those different environments, did you have was there like an Asian community or like did this community in your university supporting you?
Most university does have an Asian community, but the size of it and how active it is depends on the city that you're going to be in. For example, like my city was, I don't even consider it a city, like they're a Polish city. Like, it's like, honestly, like without the university students, it's a village. That like solidly that only old people live there, like old rich people live in the suburb, you know, like for the silence. And so yeah. There is a Vietnamese community where I go to, even though how small it is. And luckily enough, the school that I went to is a really big hospitality school in the Netherlands. So a lot of Vietnamese people go there just for the hospitality program because it's a popping industry right now. So a lot of Vietnamese go there, and because it's a small city, there's not much to do. We are really close, we're really active. Keep thinking of activities to do, like host events on Lunar New Year, New Year's, Christmas even, and go out on movies and stuff. So there are groups like that, and you can always. Sorry, the bus just interrupted me. That's right. But before you go to university, you can always like search up on Facebook or any other social media platforms to find. Most of them are active on Facebook. So find like Vietnamese Student Association. And they are so willing to help you. Like, in my case, like when you landed in Amsterdam Airport, I would have to take a 2-hour train back to my city, and on your first year, of course you're gonna luggage like 3 big luggages, and being a girl, I couldn't do that on my own. So they host programs that would have like students that are already there and be a buddy for you, and come to the airport, pick you up, like help you back home, and then settle in and everything, like guide you through, kind of like just tell you all the basic information that you would need, like what do you do on your first day? Where are you gonna sit card? How does the bus work?
So nice.
Yeah, so every like university society have that, and it's a really good like ideal option for people who are going to.
It's like a good like transition from high school to different countries as well.
Yeah.
And as someone who like loves watching movies, especially those American high school movies, like most characters I see in college, they're not just like studying and stuff, but also like having a really good social life and like partying.
Yeah.
So like, was your university experience kind of like similar to things that we see on the screens, and the possible to share some of the most memorable moments or experiences?
Yeah. For me, I mean, I think I grew up watching somewhat similar movies to you. I don't think we have much of a difference generation, distance, but it was to some extent similar, but not that much because what I grew up watching was a lot of UK and US student life, and I go to a European country, so that's not included. Different kind of vibe, but the concept of what you watch is still the same. Like, so you can start with similarity first. That's the easy to spot. First, similarities: move in and move out day. You see, like on movies, you see like people like trucking their trolleys and boxes and stuff like that. We deal with the same thing, and for us, it's the same concept. Every parent is like trying to like help their kids to move in, and it's really wholesome to see. Like the first day and the last day, like parents clean up and everything. So move in and move out day is the first similarities. That orientation day. Have you seen that on movies?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of orientation.
Yeah, like orientation parties, orientation like fair, and that's where like fraternities and sororities, kind of
get
scouts.
those, like, club fairs
Yeah, exactly. Like scouts people. We also have that, but it's a bit different because there's always like something different from what we watch because it's movies. Of course, they're not gonna. On that first day of mine, there were clubs and everyone, like scouting people, like what you see, but at the same time there were school tours going on, and then usually on first day, the school canteen or food hall is just going to provide you meals, and you get to do like, or you can test out some classes. Like they do like mock-up classes for you to slowly transition to your university life, like not to be so in awe on the first day. So yeah, like that was my first orientation day. It's not as crazy as it's things on TV for US university. Oh my god, my brother goes to US university, and on his orientation day he got like a full-on tattoo parlor there, and like you can do piercing and tattoos and everything. So it's, I know, it's a different concept for me, because Europeans, I was more like all cutesy, like wholesome, yeah, like bubble tea family kind of vibe. Another similarity I can tell is the concept of the format of the university that you see on the TV shows in the lecture hall. It's as big as you see. It's as intimidating, and you do get to be pointed out to, like, oh, do you have questions? Or like, oh, hey, the professors will directly point at you and be like, can you answer this? And also the same thing that you also see, people tend to not show up to lecture. Like after the first semester, people start to like drift off, because it's not like mandatory. Like some are, and some aren't. So a lot of them just started to drift off, and then it's empty lecture hall of that one professor. It's really something else. But aside from lecture halls, there's like, this is like more of a academia similarity that on TV is like other than those big lecture halls, there's also like small classes that you're familiar with, like SAT high school or before that, with little fewer people, like 10 to 15, to usually for case studies, like you can bounce ideas about each other, solve together, and do projects and stuff. Those are the two, I think. Clubs are the same, like social club, like chess and everything, music, not the other club. Big is different. The partying is still there. The level is different. Yeah, the level is really, really different. European countries, well known, because US have a drinking age. Yeah, they're 21. There is still illegal drinking. We're gonna acknowledge there is still illegal drinking. But it's actually but there's still illegal drinking, but it's still not as much compared to European universities, because it's free to drink there. You're like, kids are free to drink since 16. Oh really? Yeah, since 16 they're like allowed to drink. So they go hard and they go crazy over alcohol, especially when you're in the first year and that like whole feeling of not knowing how to express yourself and how to present yourself to other people, to meet strangers. Alcohol is their way of, let loose and be open enough to communicate, to interact. So, first year party, everybody's just like that drunk, like chugging and everything, and because they've been drinking for a long time, their creativity with alcohol is really on a next level, and it makes a loadsome of stuff together. And yeah, I don't like encourage drinking, but I'm not saying all this like to encourage drinking. It's just like a really pungent difference that you're gonna see from movies to that. And even, but this is one thing, is like you're gonna see like not like everybody is enjoying their time, not like on TV. Like not everybody's enjoying their time. They're really trying hard to get to know people, to have friends. So they're forcing themselves to drink at the same time. They're forcing themselves to interact with people. And it's not uncomfortable when your mentality is like, I have to do this, I have to have this. And feeling loneliness. That's the difference. Oh my god, that's so. It just popped in my head. I'm so sorry. Big is different. Is loneliness. Movies is rarely do movies that I grew up watching shows the loneliness that you're gonna experience in university. And I don't say that I'm not trying to like, gather a bunch and like everybody has the same experience, all this deal with loneliness. But even when you put yourself out there and you make friends, and But the thing is, everybody was really trying to put on this mask and trying to show themselves and make their best self. So you really do not know these new friends to like a deep level enough to share and to like have, you know, heart-to-heart talks, or really be there for each other in some sense. And it's really only in this now, like in the first year, it's really only on the social level. So a lot of low, like you will start feeling like oh my god, like they went out and they didn't ask me, like they didn't take me with them, like I have no one to share this with, like what am I going to do? Like, oh, it's the weekend, like what else is there to do other than partying? And I have no one else to do it with. So loneliness is so emphasized in the first year, moving from high school, because you're in this bubble with a lot of people and you're friends with. You're in this safe bubble that you can talk to everybody. But once you're with thousands of people, you really don't know who to talk to.
I think like, because for me, a lot of times I would say, oh, the world is like so small, because we would like meet the same people in several different like events and stuff.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to university, it's like you're kind of escaping from that world. You're like, oh, the world is like much bigger than
Yeah.
you could possibly have.
For your case and for what I grew up the same is that we grew up in an international school environment, and the international school environment in Hanoi is, I would say it's not big, it's not small as well. But once you do like sports and activities together, you kind of know everybody. Like, everybody know everybody. And now when you move to university, it's not the case, and it's a different country, so of course you're not gonna know anybody. And maybe lucky enough you're gonna text someone before you arrive, but that still doesn't fulfill the feeling of safeness in you. That you will not, like, that will still not, you know, make you feel like, oh my god, like I can depend on this person entirely. So a lot of it you're gonna have to do on your own, and it's like going to class, eat meals alone, cook alone, walk home and walk to school alone. I mean, there are friends, but sometimes like, they're not there because they have other friends as well. They're also trying to find their people. You're trying to find your people. So there are moments like that, and then the whole paperwork that. In my case, I had to like rent my own apartment to stay, doing my own paperwork and like doing paperwork and everything. I don't know much about the US and UK system, like administrative system when you're there, but when I was in the Netherlands, I had to go like register myself into the province, get my residence permit card, all of that on my own, and I think it was a more difficult situation because it was in Dutch. It wasn't a language that I had no idea what it was saying. So a lot of like the world function when the word function in a language that you don't know, kind of it's like, what do I do? You know, what should I do? Like, how do I do this? Like, I cannot always do pop up Google Translate.
Yeah.
So there are moments that you just have to like bring it. And then you will overcome it, and then you'll be like, oh, I just did that alone and I can do it. And like on one side, yay, oh my god, like I did that, yay me. On the other side, oh, alone. Like I just did that alone, and it's like, oh, I can do that alone too. Like you're like question mark, because here like paperwork, your parents couldn't do it for you. Right?
Yeah.
So the whole realization of you're a one-person individual in society.
I think that is what the transition from high school to university life requires like so many different skills. So, what are some skill sets that you would say all students, all high school students to university should possess?
I think, on the top of my head, self-discipline, right? That is that, and it's not only like, oh, I have to wake up at this hour every single day. I have to like go to the grocery and yada yada yada. I have to finish my homework before this time. That is just high school and before that situation. When you're 18 and up and go to university abroad and living alone, self-disciplinary takes into the form of if you set your mind on something, stick to it. Like hold yourself accountable to what you said you're gonna, like in your head you said you're gonna do. Don't drift away from it and be like, and even if you drift from it, do like remember to compensate in a way. Like I know how abstract it sounds right now, but like for example, taking for example, first week, there was this party on Friday where every like student in my department like comes to like welcome, like socialize and that just. But I have for example, I have a Spanish exam, like a Spanish speaking exam on the next week, and I haven't prepared at all. And I would be like, oh, like, do I prepare for that? Because once you socialize, like for my situation, once I socialize there, I will have to, not like I will have to, but I kind of like it, so I drank. And of course I'm going to take like Saturday to cover, and then Sunday alone is not enough for you to cram everything, and then for Monday to show up and like speak fluent Spanish. So, I would have to be like, do I go to the party or do I, take advice? But ultimately, I was just like, you have to realize that you're an international student in another country. You paid a lot of money to be here. Even with scholarship, you really have to pay so much more than other like domestic students there because of the currency exchange and everything. That your parents or even yourself is really paying a lot of money to be there. So you're like, you really have to be responsible enough to realize how privileged you are to go abroad and study. And I'm not saying like you have to be like academia raised and be like, I have to study all the time. But if something as important as an exam, then you have to compensate somehow with your party. So I ultimately, and self-disciplinary kicks in a way that I'm going to go to the party but not drink at all. So I don't waste like the next day. Yeah, I don't waste the next day recovering. So yeah, like self-disciplinary is one thing. Another thing would be open-mindedness. Yeah,
Very IB learner profile.
yeah. Oh my god, you wouldn't realize how much it makes sense once you go out of IB. Honestly, I was like, oh, like I've learned all of this, like I know all of this since IB, but then I never actually identified with real life. Yeah. So open-mindedness is, and you would think that you grow up in an international environment, you would be, I mean, it is true, like, you would be less judging of other people and of the situation, or less critical. But once you go to a different environment, you are automatically set to compare, and you compare and find similarities, find differences, and then you would, mentally you would lean towards similarity and you would favor it, and you'd be like, oh, like I would prefer this and that, and I don't like that because I don't know it, or that's like too hard, that's too tacky, that takes too much time and stuff like that. Like those thoughts aren't going to be there. And but open-mindedness, like being bold enough and being like cautious enough to see those negative, not like negative, but those thoughts of seeing what you already know, is like once you feel that, like you automatically have to be conscious enough to be like, oh, but I'm in a different situation now. Like maybe I should try it out. Maybe I should do something else. Maybe, or more specifically, maybe this person looked like this, but maybe their personality isn't like what I assume. I should go approach him or them, or to be friends. Maybe like I'll find my friend there. Like open-mindedness to take risks, to do things that you've never done before. Simply like what I did was, go to a administrative office and do paperwork on my own, and not like ask my teachers to do it with me, without my parents. That's like one thing, like risk taking, just putting yourself out there, be open enough to do that. And if you're someone who worries a lot, and that is like a big, put a big barrier between you and going out there, there's this thing that I do because I had the same situation. There's this thing that I do like 2 hours before going into any socializing or any like important day like work that you require that open-mindedness. You're just gonna be there, just like really hype yourself up and be like, I can do this. And they are people too. They are first year too, or there are people who do this like who struggle in the same way as me as well. Like, why wouldn't I do this? Like, I can do this. Like, I flew all the way from a different country. Like, this is nothing. I can do this. So, like, hype yourself up really hard, and then once you go out there, you're gonna be like, oh, this is not that big of a deal. But yeah, open-mindedness. One more thing, and this is not like IB profile learning, and I don't think anybody kind of notices when it's to really, like really find small like happiness or small like positivity, small moments here and there. Because once you're in the new environment, it's really hard to like define those things. The only thing you're gonna see is like, oh my god, this is so different. Like, I don't know this. Like, I don't know how to do this. You're gonna be all in this like panic mode that you forget to identify small moments of happiness and achievement and all of that. Like, just honestly, just like, for example, go out there, like go to like a new campus, right? And then you smile at some people. People smile back at you. You're like, oh, they're friendly. Like, that's the tiniest thing possible. Or be like, oh, this campus is so pretty. Like, I have a really nice campus. That is also one thing. Really fixate your head on positivity rather than negativity or panic. Honestly, all of this just comes down to being conscious enough to switch the situation or switch your mindset to being positive and being all, excited rather than being scared. I'm so sorry, but I'm just like really looking back at my experience, like really passionate about these things. I think there's like one more small thing that like, we can do, like physically we can do to, and it's not, I consider it a skills, but it's really good when you go to a new city and take a walk, like really try to explore your city. Yeah, like take a walk and like find. Maybe like go to those like event boards and see if there are any posters that exist that you're interested in and actually do those activities and get to know your new environment, because once you're comfortable with it and it's not strange to you anymore, everything after that comes easy. You're gonna be like, oh, I already know. Sorry, the guy behind the camera just had a panic attack. But like once you know the city itself or know the environment or the campus itself, for example, the first day is gonna be so easy. Like I already know where this class is. Like really, before, like I highly recommend coming to like your campus early, like a week earlier than your first day, so like, you have time to explore and know where the routes and stuff. So like you can, familiarize yourself.
Last minute is a good first time.
Yeah, that's about it. Let's say survival, like really intense survival day. First day.
I don't think of that. My parents would always remind me, like I would have to practice something like literally survival skills kind of in university, like being able to cook and be unlucky and stuff. Like, how important are those skills? Like, I understand that you're living on your own and stuff.
It differs from person where the home, but my situation was that I rented the place alone without living in a dorm, so I cook alone and everything, cook on my own. I love cooking, so I my mom loved cooking, so she was forcing me like to cook way back. But even though if you're not living on your own and you are eating on like, my brother said that like in his university he has this like card that you can just have and and he can just do that at university, but just in case, like prepare yourself to like just a simple cooking, like really simple meals, simple like dishes that you like. And in case like you don't like school food, you would always have the ability to, do something else and not have to pay a lot of money to eat outside. And even sometimes like you're gonna be in a campus like in the middle of the forest, there wouldn't be any restaurants where you eat. So cooking, I would say, really, really highly recommend you have it. And if not, I know some of my friends like they start learning when they move out of their house. So you don't have to prepare it beforehand. You can just YouTube.
Go with the flow.
Yeah,
kind
go with the flow. Like I would say, like cooking ramen isn't that. Packaged ramen isn't that hard. So that's your first start. Boil an egg and stuff like that. It's not hard, and you'll learn along the way how to do these things. Laundry. Laundry. It's a pain, okay? You would never know how many types of materials out there that you need to take really good care of and not, turn out all fuzzy or like turn out all broken after you washed it. So those tags on your clothes that says like how to wash it, read those. Learn how to read those. Honestly, I ruined so many of my clothes on the first year just because I didn't know how to like properly clean them. I just like shove it in. Honestly, I mean, I was smart enough to like separate, dark and like white stuff, but the whole like materials differences and how to properly take care of them is highly recommend reading those tags. Really pay attention to those.
I'm gonna think about it because like moving to a food country, especially in US, UK, or like Netherlands and stuff, it's gonna be so much colder. Like the pain of having to identify like different kind of like cotton those sweaters are.
Yeah. Like people would think about it, like us students in high school. Like when I was in high school, nobody would think about these things, okay? And then you, even if you have enough money to go shopping, you wouldn't have time because you're here dealing with friends, with classes, navigating every single thing in your campus life. You wouldn't have time to go out and shopping. And then when you go out and shopping, then you're like, okay, where? I don't know. Because your campus is going to be away from shopping centers, of course, like most of it. I mean, if you're lucky, you go to like, you can go to like a school in London. And like their campus is like right next to shopping centers.
Right in the center.
Good for them. But then if it's not your situation, then it's really like pay attention to small details that you really never paid attention to before. Clothing tags, cooking small meals. And if you go to like, I don't know, what other survival skills that my parents taught? I think about it, so I'm trying to remember.
Like going through all the advices.
When you're like under, not like under attack, but like under pressure, and you go through all of that, and after that, you just blocked all of that experience because you're like, I went through so much, I don't remember anymore. I kind of am going through that right now. First year, what did your parents tell you then?
Mostly cooking because, well, I'm not the best at cooking. I think I've learned quite a few things. So that's like one skill that my parents have emphasized I have to work on because if not, I'm going to be eating ramen for like 4 years in college. And I don't think that's like the healthiest option to have.
How do you have cooking then? Oh, first aid skills. Yeah, you're not always going to be so, like, the hospital isn't always going to be so accessible, and it's always, like, a lot of money to go to the hospital, and a long wait. So, like, first aid skills on how to, like, treat, like, burns and, like, just small wounds here and there, and maybe even, like, if you kind of, what do you call it? That you strain your muscles or your neck or anything, there are techniques that you can learn like, really easily to undo that. Like once you're in Vietnam, you find like massage parlor really easily.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere for you to solve those like muscle strain. But once you're abroad, it's not a really accessible common practice to find people who like do those things like massage for you. So they would just give you painkillers. Actually, they'll just be giving you painkillers, and I don't think any of us want to have painkillers every time we have a muscle pain.
Yeah.
So small things like first aid and how to like solve muscle strain, pain here and there. Really learn your common medicine stuff like that you have in your house, like fever, coughing, digestion skills, and learn how to really memorize like how to take those and when to take those. Really helpful once you start getting them. So yeah, basically, it's very skills.
Actually, because you're like studying in a country which is very far from Vietnam, how do you deal with like homesickness? Because I think that's something that all like university students who study as abroad would definitely face.
Yeah, of course, everybody deals with it, I think, or I mean, I'm not trying to over-generalize, but if you don't, good for you. Everybody deals with, most everybody deals with homesickness, and I anticipated it, and I really forced myself, when I was over there, I really forced myself to keep contact with my parents as much as possible. So not like I have attachment issues or anything, I don't. I'm just really close to my parents, and they're like my best friends. So I talk to them, I call them at least once a day. Okay, once a day. It's like the moment I wake up, like we have a 5 to 6 hours difference. So
That's not too bad though.
that's not too bad. So when I wake up, they're already like in noon or something. I would immediately call them and be like, oh hey, I just wake up, and then I just woke up, sorry, I just woke up. Like I'm going to attend these classes, these today, and just really not even having to talk that much, just having that contact, still maintaining it, gonna keep you such a comfort that it's like, oh, like I'm away from I'm physically away from my support system, and they are still there. Like mentally, you have to be really. I had to be really like, oh, I have to call them. So I just have to know that connection there, and I mean, it's different per person, but I value my connection with my friends a lot, so I do that. So I just don't. I don't want to be that person who like go have fun and go do all this and not contact with my parents, because I will feel guilty. Personally, I will feel so guilty, and I say, oh my god, I'm out here doing all this thing, and they're just working for me. I have this like identity crisis. Like, who am I? Like, why am I like this? So homesick like that, like keeping contact with my parents, and not even only with parents. If you have really close friends, like I have to, we make sure once a month we have a group call. We have we have to have a group call and update on each other. Like, oh, like did you find a boyfriend yet? Like, spill more tea and stuff like that. So yeah, like we force ourselves to talk once a month, or on everybody's birthday. We be there for each other, because we know everybody's dealing with some kind of separation anxiety from your familiarity, like familiar situation. So everybody deals with some kind of separation anxiety. So keeping contact with support system, parents, friends, whatever. Another thing that I did is to make my new accommodation as comfortable as possible. To make it so safe, whether that being like make it the same, like make it look the same like your room at home, or lift that Pinterest board that you've been pinned for a long time. You've been pinning for a long time with like decoration and stuff, like everything you like, so that once you come back from school or from socializing, you go back into this safety nest, and you would, so it would be like these small things. People wouldn't think that it takes, like it helps so much mentally, but then once you actually do it, you're like, oh my god, this is my space. I can relax now. I can be myself. So homesick can be not like cured, but can be, minimized by doing that. You have a comfort physical space, and you have a comfort mental space that can be contact. What sounds nice. That's it.
I would personally think that like making your like home meals and stuff reminds you of
That's when the cooking skill kicks in, yeah? like when you're like so homesick and you want that bowl of soup and you can immediately go to the kitchen and cook it and you're like, oh my god, this like tastes like home, or like even it half tastes like home, like not even completely. Oh my god, like it reminds you of home and comfort from food. Good. Yeah, so cooking skills, remember.
Please try to learn cooking skills
Yeah,
like
exactly.
burn off the door or
no. But yeah, homesick can deal with like food and that. Also, student society. If you're in any student society or group or whatever they call wherever you are, they host events on days that really highlighted the feeling of being with family. Lunar New Year, any like what are
Oh yeah, what Mid-Autumn Festival?
yeah, Mid-Autumn Fest, those things, like when you like really, those events and those holidays that are really signature to Vietnamese culture, and you're gonna really miss that once you move out. You're gonna be like, oh, I don't have any of that around me anymore. Like there are people back there celebrating and being with the family, and you keep spiraling down that train of thoughts. That's when the student society helps. That's when they host events, you be together, you have hot pot. Yeah, you have hot pot, you do like the traditional games, like traditional games and stuff. So that's like really a good thing to do. Yeah, mostly that's what I do. If I think about that, like there were moments that I was like crying because I miss my family so much, and like miss being with, you know, the culture. Even if not with my family, just being surrounded by the culture itself, like people miss it.
I know that like throughout the episode you want to give us like so many advice, but I think like the perfect way to end our session for today would be for you to like maybe share some tips, like survival tips, quote unquote, or some words of encouragement for rising first year students or any high school students.
Already in first year, or I mean, some people still deal with it during their years in university, or rising ones. Really, do not let like school reputation or ranking get into your way of choosing the right school for you and it's not only about choosing the right school, it's just about the right location, the right country, and the right environment to be in. Don't let the ranking and the reputation blindside you away from those other factors that are going to take so much impact into your life alone or life abroad, because I think everybody would rather to be happy and comfortable and be in a school that they genuinely feel that they can be themselves, rather than be in a school that forces themselves to have this reputation, like get all these compliments, but end up having a miserable time being there. And yeah, like it's kind of like that's just that. Like don't let those ranking and reputation get in the way of you choosing the right school. Because for my case, I didn't choose school by ranking. That was the last thing I care about. I chose the environment first. I chose the culture first before I chose the school. So yeah, because I know transitioning to another way of living is going to take so much effort and so much trouble. So why not make that more comfortable for you? And there is always a good program in a good location at a very good school, but maybe it's not a reputable place, reputable school, and that's all right. Like you're there to get knowledge, not to get compliments from other relatives or friends. That's like, oh, you went to this school, you must be so good. No, I went to this school because I liked it and I genuinely want to be there, and it's providing me with knowledges and the environment that I want for myself. Like really another one, it takes a lot of like self-awareness and self-reflection to know what you want. And I don't know if like people who are listening to this have this accessible or not, but there are like worksheets online to really help you like get to know what you want for university, who you are. Like you just answering questions. Yeah, like when answering those questions, just gonna make you realize what you want and where you want to be in your life. And you, from there, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to be at a university that helps me reach that goal and reach that life. So yeah, some reflection. And even not doing it on your own or doing worksheets, there are people around you can ask, reach out to people. Like rising first years and rising first year or high school students who are about to apply, you have access to every platform. You can just reach out to people from there. Really just, it doesn't take much. At first you're gonna be like, are they going to reply? Why would I, put the effort into asking all of those and messaging them? But in some way, they will reply via Instagram, via email. If they don't answer via email, reach them on LinkedIn, go on all the platforms, really attack them. There will be someone who replies. And then you can ask all your questions about the new place that you're going to or wanting to go to, and then bounced off of their experience, you will realize if you want to be there or not. And when it comes to that, don't take from one single perspective. Ask a lot, but ask as many people as you can for that idea. So yeah. Another one. Yeah. Really do your research well on what to pack, what to bring, because your parents are going to do that. Like I know maybe parents or Asian parents or will, and they will ask around for you as well. But they are sometimes over worried, and they will pack so many stuff that turns out to be unnecessary. Because once you're over there, you're gonna realize that you can get those stuff there, and it's not that expensive, and maybe like you won't even need these things. So really research and again ask the people like what you should bring, what you should not. Another thing, another advice.
4 years of memory.
Yeah, I'm going 4 years of memory. Just remember what kind of advice I gave my first year. Read, like, before you go to classes, there are syllabus that are published before that. Read all of that. Like, take your time and read all the syllabus. Every page is from the top to the bottom of every class before going to the class. Because they expect you to know what they expect from you. Like, you get that sense? Yeah, like they expect you to know what you're stepping into because you're an adult now. Like once you're in when you're in high school, people are there to guide you. Once you're in college, you're doing it all on your own. Studying is a choice. It's not being forced. It's a choice. And if you show up, that means you want to be there because you already read the syllabus. You should have known what this class is about. You should have known what you should prepare. You should have known what you're stepping into. So if you showed up, that means you want to be there. So don't show up being completely oblivious because those things are not going to help you on the first day of the lecture because they immediately step into the class. You're going to go directly into that first lesson. So every course are going to publish their syllabus before that and books. But you don't have to read the books, just get the books or read through like introduction or anything. With syllabus, everything. Read from the top to bottom, know what they expect from you, and usually in the service, it tells you all the deadlines that you have throughout the first semester or the first quarter, and note that down. That. I know, this is just like a train of thoughts that go on and on. Have a calendar, like really Google Calendar or Apple Calendar or whatever, log everything in there that you know that you want to do. From school deadlines to meeting friends to meeting with supervisors or anything related to your life alone now, note that down. Even going to grocery shopping, like now you have to really time connection. So like really block the time to do that. And that connects back to like being self-disciplined enough. And self-disciplined enough to like stick to that plan that you have. Because you're so jam-packed in the first few months that you won't have time to rearrange and replan and move the days. So have a calendar visually that you see what time you're doing something. So it's really good time management tools. I mean, that's about it for the first year or like the first few weeks. And you're gonna survive on those days. Yeah.
So, from what I heard from you, university life seems like a literal roller coaster. There are all ups and downs.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah. Well, we really hope that all the listeners have enjoyed today's episode. And thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today.
Thanks again for having me.
Experiences.
Hearing me rant about this.
As you graduate next year,
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
So, this was the Cookie Talk. We'll see you guys next episode. Bye.
Bye.